Alright, here we are. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. Full board vision is back. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 PM. And you know what that means. It's live, blindfold, chess. Now then, we've had a stream of, a string of Tuesday night special guests. And this is no different. Tonight we're welcoming Isaac663 onto the stream. And we can't wait to get started. And we're live on Lee Chess. Which is great. Just before we start, just a big shout out to my marketing team who've been hard at work this week. And they're understaffed, so they've been putting a shift in. So, you know, big respect to them. I think they've done a great job marketing the stream. I think we've got 12,500 viewers already. And they're flooding in. Look at that, 132 people in Vanuatu. Fantastic. Now then, I'm just going to communicate to a special guest that the game is about to start, and that the rules of chess apply. Just give me 1 second. Yes. There we go. Apologies for that. You know, padding for time is not my forte, but I don't think I did too badly there. Alright guys, well you know how it works. It's live blindfold chess. That means I'm blindfold. Digitally. As you can see, I am not wearing a blindfold, which, so I've been told, is to the detriment of the overall stream. Apparently it would be better if I were wearing a blindfold, but unfortunately it's digital. It's a digital blindfold. Comes with its own special features. There's a word I'm looking for there that I can't find. Anyway, let's jump in to blindfold game number 1. Isaac663, best of luck. I've played the move 1e4. And Isaac663 replies with e5. You see, you know him as Isaac663. I know him as Grinsdale. Alright, so we're in an Italian. That's good news. We're in Italian. I've got a brew. Now then, what I can see is the board. That's the inset in my webcam. Over on the right there, you can see the live board. I can't see that. Okay, Bishop e7, the Hungarian defense. But the arrows that I'm drawing on my blind board here, you can see on the live board. That's magic. That's digital magic. That's this stream's USP. No one else is doing that. You won't see that anywhere else. Oh no. Oh no. Don't tell them how it's done. Right, this is the Hungarian defense to the Italian game. So I'm going to play d4 and hope to keep the initiative. Just hope. I'll try and play active moves. The bishop is a little bit passive on e7, but I think the main idea of the Hungarian defense is that after d4, if we trade on d4 like this, which is what's happening, the knight comes to e5 with a tempo on the bishop. The bishop retreats. And then the game kind of revolves for white around whether they can push f4 against his knight, which may land on e5. But now, I know my Grinsdale, and I don't think knight e5 is his style. I think he's more likely to play knight f6. d6 played. Okay, d6. Now then, that... I wonder, should I take on c6? It feels a little bit early. Double the pawns. It does let the bishop out. Well, not there, but gives the bishop a life. One thing I've got in mind is to take, which here I don't think is a mistake, and then play e5. That looks a bit weird. Okay, what should we do then? What should we do? We could just castle. We could play bishop e3, perhaps. Play knight c3. Let's play knight c3, because I'm not sure how we should continue. Just try to get the pieces out and not lose on time. Okay, so minor pieces. Black has these two minor pieces here. We've got a slight lead in development with our minor pieces here, which is no longer a lead. Okay, the knight comes to f6, which is expected. Now there's a bit of a difference here, because after we trade and push e5, that comes with a tempo. It is a pawn sacrifice. Because the question is it worth it? Is it any good? What do we get from that pawn sacrifice? I can't see anything. Can't see anything. We could play knight d5, but then e4 is hanging, so we probably don't want that right now. We could take on c6. Okay. Bishop g5 is kind of discouraged now that the bishop's on e7. So I don't really like the look of that. I could play bishop f4. That might hit c7 in some line. But not through d6, I guess not. What about bishop e3? Knight could jump to g4, attacking our bishop at some point. But it does put an extra defense on our knight on d4 here, so okay, let's go for it. Bishop e3. Now, an idea that black might have is to play a6, b5 and b4 to kick this knight away from the defense of e4. Instead, bishop comes down, attacking the queen. Okay, bishop g4. I very much would like to see these bishops off. First, is there any ridiculous queen sacrifice? I don't think so. Knight takes g4. What about knight takes knight? That would attack their queen. And it would free up the d4 square. Not sure whether we want to do that. So I'm torn. It's either f3 or queen d2. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't play f3, really. So let's just do that. Leaves our bishop unprotected. But I don't think that's a problem. Instantly played. Bishop to d7. Okay, let's try and take stock of this position. So let's just think for a moment. Well, I think we should just play queen d2. Going to castle long, and it starts to look like our setup is a bit like the English attack in the Sicilian. So whether that's a good setup against a Hungarian defense, I don't know. But this pawn structure looks kind of interesting. Probably this isn't the right setup that I've created here, but I have almost developed all the pieces. And really at this point, I'm just trying not to blunder, to be honest. And if we trade, to kind of trade on our terms. Okay, so it's kind of a tight game. Only a pair of pawns traded. These bishops for... Okay, I wasn't expecting that, but it's probably okay. Alright, so do we take back with the bishop or the queen? Feeling the bishop. Got to be careful, haven't we? Got to be careful. 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 take with the bishop. Okay, so now 3 minor pieces left in these positions. Okay, opponent castles. Let's castle long. We're not worried about the bishop ever landing on g5 as long as we can... And it can't happen at the moment, right? Because there's a knight on f6, but we should be aware that our king and queen are lined up on this diagonal for potential tactics later. We're quite far behind on time. We don't want to get into a time scramble. E5 is the move that we should have been trying to play, I think. In fact, maybe now we can think about that. C6 played. Okay, the d7 bishop is currently protected. Now, if we go e5, we can then take, and that would threaten bishop takes f6. They could meet e5 with d5, but that wouldn't work, because then takes. Then we'd have a, I don't know, probably a bishop takes g7 followed by a queen takes d7 or something like that. So I feel like now is the time to push. To push e5. Okay, knight d5 I'm not worried about because I feel like... Okay, so the pawn was captured. I think that doesn't really leave us with any option, does it? We have to capture. We have to capture. Now the threat is bishop takes f6. And either on queen f6 or gf6, we've got queen takes d7. Right? Because of our pressure on the d file here with our heavy pieces. Now that the D and E files are open. Okay, so the move played, and I think this might be a blunder, is bishop b4. So I think here we can play c3, which hits that bishop. The bishop will have to retreat somewhere. And after that, so we play c3 against the bishop. Bishop moves somewhere. I mean, let's say back to e7. Then we play bishop takes f6. Bishop f6, queen takes d7. Now there are moves in that position that are checks. I think the king can always just go back to b1, so at least this move, it feels like it keeps the initiative. Where's our knight? Our knight's on c3, so none of that actually makes any sense. We can't play c3, forgot about that. We've got a minor piece there, which is even better, because we can just play bishop takes f6. Discovering an attack on d7, I think. The rooks are here and here, so let's just make sure we're not blundering any back rank tactics. I don't think we are. So our king on c1 is not really susceptible to back rank things. The only thing that might be some sort of bishop discovery hitting our queen. I mean, our queen's defended. Okay, so bishop takes f6. I'm sure that's going to be met with queen f6. Is it risky to pick up this piece in that position because of moves like rook d8? I mean, surely not. Bishop takes. Queen coming onto c3 looks like it might be problematic. Got to be careful. So queen f6. If we play queen takes d7, there's bishop takes c3, bc3, queen c3, and that threatens queen a1 and stuff. So probably there we'd have to play king b1. Oh, but then you've got these rook d8 moves. Well, that doesn't work. Rook d8 doesn't work in that position. It works with the queen on f6, but if the queen vacates f6, then we can play queen takes. Alright, so the line I'm calculating is queen takes f6, queen takes d7, Bishop takes c3. And in that position, I wish that there was a better move than bc, but I can't see one. So bc, then queen takes c3. And all of a sudden, and there are a lot of problems. Bishop c4 is hanging. Queen a1 is a problem. You know what though? I think there's queen d4 in that position. Queen d4. Ah, that's a lovely defensive move. Queen a3 check, queen b2, and I think we're out of the woods. So I think we're okay. I think there's queen d4. Retreating move. I think. Okay, so the move played is queen a5. Okay, so that threatens queen takes a2. Well, it doesn't because the knight protects it, but it threatens bishop takes and then queen a2. Okay. No, it doesn't threaten queen a2 because there's a bishop on c4. Okay. So I think we just have to go ahead and take this bishop and then ask what's the problem, because actually the line might transpose because okay, so here's what I think is going to happen. Queen d7, bishop takes c3, bc. And there, I mean, queen a3 is a high-level move. Don't think that will be played. I think it will be queen takes c3. And then we've got queen d4. I think that keeps everything tight. So let's go ahead and pick up that bishop on d7. I'm expecting bishop takes c3. Once again, we are miles behind on time. Oh, hang on, I've still got a bishop on f6. Hang on. Queen a4 didn't pick up the f6 bishop. That means that bishop c3 can be met with bishop takes c3. And also there are no rook d8s. Okay, so now we can play bishop c3, which hits the queen. So we should certainly do that. Okay, so now we've got two bishops. I think we're two bishops up. All the minor pieces for black are off the board. So all we need to do now is make sure we don't blunder the pawn structure. So what's the pawn structure? I think it looks like this. Okay, that's expected move, but I think actually we can enter an interesting position here. I think this is the pawn structure. Got to be careful because one mistake in remembering where the pawns are can cause a big problem. I think luckily for us here we've got, I think it was might have been the wrong rook. I think maybe the f rook needed to go across because I think here we've got bishop takes f7 check. Now, in fact, you know, I think we've even got queen f7. I think we've got queen f7 check. That's brilliant because it threatens queen g7 mate. Queen f7, rook f7, rook takes, the queen's protecting. Bang, doesn't work. It's not brilliant. Okay, but bishop f7, there's no rook f7. We'd have to play king h8. King h8, and from there we can probably even play. Well, black resigned, which is fair. Which is fair. I mean, I'm playing Blindfold, so anything can happen. But that's fair. Let's have a little look at the analysis. So, yeah, I'll go back to the initial scene. select analysis board, and then let's handle over here. So that was an interesting game. Let's have a look at what happened in the Hungarian defense there. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and we reach this position. Now, normally what players do here is they play knight e5. One sec. They play knight e5, kicking the bishop to b3, and then the play kind of revolves around whether white can play f4. Well, that's white's plan, to kick this knight with a tempo, and black tries to stop that. So yeah, but instead d6, so that prevents the advance of this pawn, which I think is preparing knight f6, right? You don't want to play that straight away. Or maybe you can, because e5, you know, it's covered. So I guess d6 is, well, it's keeping the options open. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop e3, and perhaps this wasn't the best setup. Knight g4 is possible to kick this bishop. But apparently there's still games in this position. So bishop g4 was the first move that I thought gave me a little bit of an initiative with f3, kick the bishop back. And here, queen d2, we trade, castle's long, c6. Now, bishop f6 is possible here, right? Bishop f6 will force gf, which probably isn't what you want to play because there's this line, picking up a pawn. Probably not worried about this because you can take here, if nothing else. So that was probably the way to go. Instead, I played e5, which is not the most accurate move, but still. Okay, so here, bishop f6, and now what did we make? Oh, queen f7. This is really interesting because this demonstrates that queen takes d7 is not actually playable. Well, okay, it is playable, but it's a draw. So bishop c3. So what did I? Queen f4 check. Oh, wonderful. Queen f4 check wins the piece back. Hard move to find because this looks so attractive. But yeah, queen d4 is just fantastic for white there. Okay, but this line doesn't work for white because there's queen f4 check picking up the bishop. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so that was a really nice, some counterplay for black that was really nice. Fortunately, queen f4 I think just hangs the piece, or doesn't recover the piece here, and in fact the queen is hanging here as well. So queen a5, bishop a5 could have been played. I hadn't spotted that. Okay, but it was an interesting game. I think it was all good up until this move. Then it was quite difficult to recover from that, but really interesting to see that queen f6 was not hanging the piece due to this lovely fork with the queen on f4. All right, let's go for another one. So let's challenge the Grinners for a second time. Challenge. So this time, my esteemed opponent will get the will get the white pieces. This is where I have to go back initial scene. So you don't want to see that, do you? You don't want to see the buffering. All right, not a bad game from a blindfold point of view. Some really interesting tactics in that middle game there. Interesting to see those. Yeah, so we'll just see whether our esteemed challenger is ready. And they are. So here we are, game number 2. Okay, and will this be a reverse? Will it be the same opening with colours reversed? Well, not with colours reversed, you know, like opponents playing one another's opening. Yes and no. I'm going to go for the 2 knights, not the Hungarian defense. All right, let's see what Isaac 663 has got up against Italy. Now this move, we need to talk about this move all the time. This move allows fork trick knight takes e4. It's one of the main reasons why players play knight f6 against the Italian. Makes this move, I mean, it just equalizes for black because of this counter fork. Counter fork? I mean, it's just a fork. It's not really a counter fork, but which recovers the piece. Now, if white tries to keep the bishop pair, then I think black just equalizes. Probably do that with bishop d3, ed. Oh, probably bishop d3. We take back the knight, and the bishop collects the pawn back. Now, bishop b5. This is a very good try, but unfortunately, it doesn't work. There's a really beautiful line. So we take the piece back. It's probably knight takes here. Okay, and now black has an astonishingly good move, which is queen g5. Why is that good? Well, it kind of skewers these two pieces, and it also hits g2. So let's put that on the board. The point is that d4 is not yet open. So sorry, d2, there's still a pawn on d2, meaning that the queen can land on g5. And if the move d4 is played to support the knight and attack the queen, we play queen takes g2 and we get tempo on the rook. And then there's some positions which I'm really going to struggle to evaluate in blindfold mode, but let's see what happens. This is already a very complex position. Okay, so what can white do? If they play knight takes c6, we play queen takes b5. So I think that's an important detail. If they play bishop takes c6 check, then I'm guessing we take here. And then there's a problem because I think we're forking. I think we're attacking this, and this knight's not defended, right? It's not defended. Okay, so that deals with these two captures. d4. I mean, that's a tough move to find. Right? It's not an obvious move. Perhaps it is if you see that these two aren't appealing. But the problem is that you then have to calculate what happens with queen takes g2, which also doesn't look appealing. But I guess then the question is, well, what do you do otherwise? Because of the skewer along the 5th rank here. I think you probably play bishop takes c6, liquidate. Maybe knight f3, queen g2, and rook g1. Maybe that's what you go for. Actually, what do we do there? What is the material balance right now? Have we given up a pawn? I think my pawn structure is like this. Right? And I think white's pawn structure is still like this. So I think white's a pawn up as the position stands. Bishop c6 check. Okay. Thought that might be what was played. It is a check, so I think we've got no choice but to capture that. Now, I think you might play knight f3 with the idea that queen g2 can be met with rook g1. And then queen h3. Are we getting into trouble? Rook g3. I guess then there's queen h5. But how does that look? That kind of looks odd. The pawn structure looks odd. Looks very weird. We've got the bishop pair, and the pawn structure is all over the place, isn't it? And we've got these weird isolated pawns over here, and in that variation, white would have isolated pawns here and here. So I'm not sure whose pawn structure is better in that situation, but the fact that the board is opened up a little bit is probably in black's favor because we'd have the bishop pair in that position. That's if white plays knight f3 next. If you don't do that, I'm not sure what the options are for for keeping the position kind of solid. Because if you play d4 to maintain the knight, then on queen g2 you're probably going to have to play rook f1, which just allows bishop h3, and I think then we're going to lose an exchange. Like it. That's a good, very good practical choice. Knight takes f7. Okay. Basically saying this knight's gone. Or if I was to save it, I would have lost an exchange. And okay, probably knight f3 was practically more more worthwhile somehow with queen g2, rook g1. I don't know. So here I've got to play king takes, I guess. When my queen is attacked, I could throw in queen takes g2, but that just looks cheeky. And if nothing else, white can play knight d6 check. Oh no, then there's bishop d6 and that helps us. They could take our rook. Okay, so queen g2, knight takes h8, queen h1 check. That doesn't work for white, because they could have played then king e2, and then we've got bishop g4, f3, bishop takes f3, king takes f3, and winning the queen. Okay, so on queen g2, I don't think they can grab this here. We're also threatening bishop g4, so maybe queen g2 is stronger. It's a question whether king f7 or queen g2 is stronger. Kind of silly question, but after queen g2, can they set up some discovery with queen h4, h5? Queen takes h1 check. King e2. Then there might be queen e4 check. And if nothing else, a g6. So it's a difficult question whether to play queen takes g2 or to just take king f7. I mean, I like wild games, so maybe we'll go queen g2. I mean, this is a free piece. What might come next? Queen f3 check? The D and E files are open, or semi-open here. Difficult. Somehow, I love the allure, I'm feeling the allure of queen takes g2. I mean, if the attack on the rook just, picks up a pawn and still grabs the piece on f7. I guess the difference is that f1, if we then take on f7, there's queen h5 check, which isn't possible in the current position. Nah. Difficult. King f7. Alright, just let me think about it. Let me think, will you? I think on king f7 they will castle. Oh, I'm going for it. Queen g2. If only because I really want to see the line. Knight takes h8, queen g2, king e2. Sorry, queen takes h1. King e2, bishop g4 check, f3, bishop f3. I'll just steer for the tactics. I think it's pretty unlikely that line's going to arise. I think most likely is rook f1. And maybe even after rook f1 we've got bishop g4. Because the queen is trapped. So rook f1, queen g4, sorry, bishop g4. I think the only move to save the queen is f3. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's not good for us because f3 will attack our g4 bishop and we might not have time to take. Unclear. It's unclear, but I think probably rook f1 is the move. I don't think queen h5 works. I think we just take the rook. Oh, we're going to get it. We're going to get the position. After queen h1, king e2, bishop g4, f3, bishop f3. f3, come on, let's have it. Okay, so king e3, but then we take the queen. Either way. There we go. Good game. Interesting game. Very, very difficult line. Very difficult line to play. So let's go and have a look at that on the analysis board. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's get back to the right to the beginning. e4, e5, knight 3, bishop c4. Okay, so we're in the Italian. Knight c3. If you play against the two knights, it's kind of very important to know that this move is not advised for this reason. Black can play the fork trick, and if you accept the knight immediately, the pieces get forked. And bishop e5, which looks like a very good move, tactically, unfortunately, just doesn't work out. In this position, a lot of players play bishop takes f7 because they're aware that if they capture the knight on e4, then this fork is coming. So instead they say, okay, right, desperado, I'll give up the bishop. And we end up in a situation that usually looks like this. Kick this knight, push it back. And then there's a really interesting move, h5. Because if the knight takes that, you've got queen h4. The knight has to drop back. And then I think there's just some powerful moves like bishop g4. And getting kind of tangled up. There's a move knight maybe knight d4 here. Anyway, so that's what can happen if white decides to give up the bishop pair here. That's not what happened in this game. Okay, so bishop b4. This is a very attractive move and a really good idea. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't quite work because of this monster move queen g4, g5, which skewers these two minor pieces and also hits g2. So I think the best move here is d4. I mean, it's already borderline lost if black finds the right moves. And what can happen from here is queen takes g2, rook f1, and then I think we have to play the move bishop d6, trying to kick this knight away. And what happens is knight takes c6, and we don't recapture. This is the thing that's quite hard to see. We actually play the move a6. And now on any knight retreat we just take this bishop. So the bishop tends to retreat. Is that what happens? Yeah, right. And we still can't take this knight because the bishop is covering c6. Right, so we still can't do this because we're going to get forked. So here we castle. Black is going to save the knight. White, sorry, saves the knight. But then we trade it off so that we can play bishop g4. And here the line goes something like f3, yf3. Well, if you move your queen anywhere, you know, if you try and save your queen like this, for example, we just hit the queen on the e file with a mate threat behind it, so that's not going to work. So f3, then I think we take the pawn. What does this allow? I guess it's given the queen some luft. So you can play queen d2 and if rook d8, for example, where you can just trade queens. So what typically happens is, I guess, f2, which is a check. Queen takes f2, and there's this beautiful line where you've got queen e4, which is a fork. Queen e3, blocking the check. We pick this up, and it looks like there's rook f4, which wins the piece back, but it doesn't because there's the queen can retreat to d7. And all of that was the justification for why black can play in this position queen g5. And it's really important that, excuse me, as we go down the line that we just looked at, not that line, the line with d4. It's very important that this move h6 kicks the bishop back to a4, because as we go further down the line, and not there, here, the fact that the bishop is now on a4 and not b5 means that it's forkable by a queen here on when the queen jumps to. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, in this position. All right, that was a long-winded description of what can happen after queen g5. Anyway, very, very difficult position to play, and understandable is the move bishop takes e6, and then knight f7, which is a fair practical choice, just saying, okay, the knight's gone, I'm going to win a pawn back for it. I was expecting, the knight can never go there, it gets captured, so I didn't realize I had a pawn on e4, which is kind of funny. Expecting knight f3 when I would have played queen g2 and not captured the knight. Okay, and here a queen g2 is the top move. Well, that's good. And king f7 is also very good. Okay, and then here I was expecting f3, whereupon bishop f3, but instead king e3, and I think there's probably a mate here. Apparently the quickest mate is to take the queen, but yeah, it's gonna be quite hard to fend off the black pieces. All right, good games, but I think the takeaway from this one from the white side is in this position here. So you play the Italian, you'll get the two knights, I don't know, a third of the time, at least I'd say. Don't play knight c3. Choose something else. d3 is probably the most annoying thing to play against. Just keep it tight. You can play d4. I think you can even play castles. Am I right? Play castles. Knight e5. Is this a line? No, that's not a line. You can't do that. But there's some way you can play castles. Or maybe you play d4 followed by castles. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. And then you've got rook e1, d5, bishop d5, queen d5, knight c3, and you can go to this position, exploiting two pins. But yeah, knight c3 against the two knights is one to avoid. All right, people, that was your full ball vision for your Tuesday. I hope you're all having a great week. I hope it's going quicker than mine. Slow week. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. A bit laboured, isn't it? A bit laboured and slow. A bit lackluster. A bit beige. It's been a bit of a beige broadcast from me, hasn't it? Well, that's a little bit unfair. I don't think it's been beige at all. The fuck are you calling beige? Anyway, we'll see you next time. Thursday, 7 o'clock. For some more full bob vision and some live blindfold chess. Until then, I'll leave you with the wonderful dulcet tones of stream beats to fade us out. Yeah, we'll catch you next time.